Practicing work conversations in English can feel stressful, especially when your manager asks for an update and you suddenly forget the right words.
Maybe you know the work, but explaining progress clearly in English feels difficult. The good news is that you don't need perfect English to sound professional, calm, and confident.
Today, you'll practice a natural conversation about giving updates at work, using the kind of English people really use in meetings, chats, and office conversations every day. My name is Anna.
And I'm Leo. We're happy you're here practicing with us today. All right, let's begin.
Good morning, Leo. Do you have a few minutes to talk about the client project? I wanted to check where things stand before this afternoon's meeting.
Good morning, Anna. Sure, absolutely. I was actually organizing my notes just now, so this is perfect timing. We've made solid progress overall, but there are still a few details we need to finalize before we present everything to the client.
Okay, that sounds promising. Let's go step by step so we don't miss anything. How's the website redesign coming along? Last week, we were still waiting for feedback from the marketing team.
Right, we finally received their comments yesterday afternoon. Most of the feedback was pretty minor, which was a relief. They mainly wanted adjustments to the homepage banner and a few changes to the product descriptions.
That's good news. Were there any major concerns, or was it mostly small edits?
Mostly small edits. At first, I thought they were going to request a completely different layout, but thankfully that didn't happen. We only need to update a few sections and improve the mobile version slightly.
Understood. When you say slightly, what exactly still needs work on the mobile version?
Mainly spacing issues and loading speed. Some images are too large, so the pages load more slowly on phones. We're compressing the files now to improve performance.
Got it. Compressing files basically means making them smaller so they load faster. That's actually a useful expression for anyone learning workplace English in tech or digital marketing.
Exactly. And once we finish that, the site should run much more smoothly.
Nice. What about the presentation slides for the client meeting? Are those ready yet?
They're about 80% finished. I completed the performance data section this morning, and now I'm updating the visuals so everything looks more consistent.
Consistency really matters in presentations. If the fonts, colors, or layouts change too much from slide to slide, it can look unprofessional.
I completely agree. I noticed that some charts were using different styles, so I standardized everything before sending the draft.
Sorry, could you repeat that word slowly? Standardized?
Of course, standardized. It means making everything follow the same format or standard.
Ah, understood. That's a very useful business English word.
It comes up a lot in office conversations, especially when teams want documents or processes to look consistent.
Makes sense. So overall, would you say we're still on schedule?
Yes, for the most part. We're slightly behind on the analytics report, though.
What happened there?
The data from one of the tracking tools was incomplete, so we had to double-check several numbers manually. That delayed things more than expected.
That sounds frustrating. Were you able to identify the issue?
Yeah, eventually. Apparently, the system stopped collecting information for a few hours over the weekend. Nobody noticed it immediately because the dashboard still looked normal at first glance.
I see. Problems like that can be difficult because they aren't always obvious right away.
Exactly. At first, I thought the numbers looked unusually low because customer traffic had decreased, but then I realized the tracking system itself had failed temporarily.
Fair enough. So what's the plan now?
We're rebuilding the missing data using backup reports. It takes more time, but at least we won't present inaccurate information to the client.
That's definitely the right approach. Accuracy is more important than speed in situations like this.
I agree. Rushing usually creates bigger problems later.
Very true. By the way, have you already spoken with Daniel from the finance department? He wanted updated budget numbers before noon.
Yes, I sent him an email earlier this morning. He replied pretty quickly, actually. He approved most of the expenses, but he asked for clarification about the advertising costs.
That doesn't surprise me. The advertising budget increased a lot this month. Did he sound concerned?
Not exactly concerned, but he definitely wanted more details. He asked why the social media campaign cost more than originally planned.
And what did you tell him?
I explained that the client requested additional promotional content halfway through the campaign. Because of that, we had to increase production and advertising spending.
That's reasonable. As long as the increase is clearly explained, finance teams are usually okay with it.
That was my thinking too. I attached the updated invoices and included a breakdown of all the additional costs.
Perfect. That should make things easier for him to review.
Hopefully, sometimes finance departments ask follow-up questions for almost everything.
That's true, but honestly, it's probably better that they check carefully. It helps prevent mistakes.
You're right. It can feel repetitive sometimes, but attention to detail is important.
Absolutely. So, aside from the analytics delay, are there any other concerns we should mention during the meeting this afternoon?
There's one more thing. The client requested a possible deadline extension for the final launch date.
Really? I thought they wanted to launch next Friday no matter what.
That was the original plan, but apparently their internal approval process is taking longer than expected. They may need an additional week before everything is officially approved.
Honestly, that might actually help us. An extra week would give the team more breathing room.
That's exactly what I was thinking. We could use the additional time to test everything more thoroughly.
Testing is extremely important before a launch. Small technical problems can become major issues once customers start using the platform.
Definitely. And the last thing we want is to rush the launch and create a bad first impression.
Completely agree. Have you already informed the design team about the possible extension?
Not yet. I wanted to confirm it with you first before making any announcements.
That makes sense. Let's wait until the client officially confirms the new timeline. No reason to confuse everyone too early.
Good idea. Communication gets messy fast when people hear incomplete information.
Very true. That reminds me, how's the new intern doing? I heard she's helping your team this week.
She's doing surprisingly well. She learns quickly and asks thoughtful questions. Honestly, I expected her to need constant supervision during the first few days, but she's already contributing a lot.
That's great to hear. Good interns can make a huge difference, especially during busy periods.
Absolutely. Yesterday, she helped organize client feedback documents, which saved me at least 2 hours.
Nice. Has she worked in this industry before?
Only a little. She mentioned that she completed a short internship at a smaller company last year, but this is her first experience working on a large project.
Well, it sounds like she's adapting quickly. That's always a positive sign.
Definitely. She also communicates very professionally, which makes collaboration easier.
Professional communication is such an important skill. Even when someone is talented technically, communication problems can slow everything down.
I completely agree. Honestly, clear communication solves half the problems in most workplaces.
That's probably true. Speaking of communication, did the client respond to the revised proposal yet?
Not yet, but they said they'd review it this morning. I'm expecting an answer sometime later today.
Hopefully the response is positive. We spent a lot of time improving that proposal.
We really did. I think the updated version explains the strategy much more clearly than the original one.
I agree. The first version had good ideas, but some sections felt a little vague.
Exactly. Vague is another useful word, by the way. If something is vague, it means it's unclear or lacking specific details.
That's a great explanation, and in professional settings, vague communication can easily create misunderstandings.
Absolutely. That's why clients usually appreciate detailed updates and clear timelines.
Right. Nobody likes feeling confused about project status.
Especially when deadlines are involved.
Very true. So let's think ahead for a moment. During the client meeting, what should we emphasize first?
I think we should start with the progress we've already completed. That creates a positive tone immediately. Then we can discuss the remaining tasks and timeline updates.
I like that approach. Starting with positive progress helps clients feel confident before discussing any challenges.
Exactly. If we begin with problems immediately, the conversation can feel more negative than it actually is.
Agreed. And when we explain the analytics delay, we should also explain the solution clearly so they know the situation is under control.
Good point. Instead of only talking about the problem, we should explain what actions we're taking to fix it.
That's how professional updates usually work. Managers and clients don't just want to hear about issues, they want to hear about solutions too.
Very true. Complaining without offering solutions rarely helps anyone.
Exactly. By the way, are you comfortable presenting the analytics section during the meeting, or would you prefer if I handled that part?
I can handle it. I reviewed the numbers several times already, so I feel prepared.
Perfect. I'll cover the project timeline and the upcoming launch schedule then.
Sounds good. I think splitting the presentation like that will keep things organized.
Agreed. And if the client asks unexpected questions, we can support each other.
Exactly. Team presentations usually work better when people collaborate naturally instead of trying to control every detail individually.
That's very true. Sometimes conversations become more productive when they feel flexible rather than overly scripted.
Absolutely. Clients appreciate natural communication too.
One more thing before we finish. Did you already send the updated meeting agenda to everyone?
Almost. I drafted the email, but I wanted to double-check the timing with you first.
Let's send it within the next 30 minutes so everyone has enough time to prepare.
No problem. I'll finalize it right after this conversation.
Great. Could you also include the revised discussion points about the delayed launch timeline?
Of course, I'll make sure that's clearly highlighted in the agenda.
Perfect. That way, nobody is surprised during the meeting.
Exactly. Surprises are rarely good in business settings.
Very true. Honestly, though, I'm feeling much better about the project now after hearing your updates.
That's good to hear. I know things felt a little stressful last week, but I think we're moving in the right direction now.
I agree. Progress may not always be perfect, but overall, the project seems healthy.
Definitely. And even though we still have work to do, the biggest challenges are already behind us.
Hopefully. Let's not celebrate too early.
Fair enough. There's always another surprise waiting in project management.
That's probably true.
Still, I think today's meeting will go well. The client seems happy with the direction of the project overall.
I've noticed that too, and honestly, clear communication has helped a lot throughout this process.
Absolutely. Regular updates prevent confusion and build trust over time.
That's a great point. Even short updates can make a big difference at work.
Definitely. Sometimes people think updates need to sound extremely formal, but simple and clear communication is usually more effective.
I completely agree. Using straightforward language often sounds more confident and professional than trying to use overly complicated vocabulary.
Exactly. Clarity matters more than sounding impressive.
Well, thanks for taking the time to walk me through everything this morning. I appreciate the detailed update.
Of course, I'm glad we had this conversation before the meeting. It helped me organize my thoughts too.
Same here. All right, let's get back to work and finish the last few tasks before this afternoon.
Sounds good. I'll send the updated agenda shortly and continue working on the analytics report.
Perfect. Let me know immediately if any new issues come up.
Will do. And if the client responds to the proposal while we're working, I'll forward the message to you right away.
Great. Thanks again, Leo.
Anytime, Anna.
And that brings us to the end of today's English conversation practice about giving updates at work.
We hope this dialogue helped you learn useful professional English expressions you can actually use in meetings, team discussions, and workplace conversations.
Remember, you don't need perfect grammar to communicate clearly. The most important thing is explaining your ideas calmly, clearly, and confidently.
If you enjoyed practicing with us today, please like the video and subscribe to the English Talk channel for more real-life English conversations.
Thanks for spending time with us today. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and we'll see you in the next lesson.
Goodbye for now.